Stop for a moment. Not because this video is special, because the part of you that clicked on it probably is. You could have ignored this. You could have kept scrolling. You could have chosen another distraction. But something in this title touched a place inside you that was already awake. People do not search for psychological truth when life feels whole. They search when something inside no longer fits. When you keep saying yes and calling it kindness. When you keep explaining and calling it communication. When you keep staying silent and calling it peace. When you keep abandoning yourself and calling it maturity. The reason this video feels familiar is not because it found you. It is because the pattern found you first. And once a pattern finds you often enough, it starts to feel like your personality. You are not weak. You are accessible. There is a difference. Weak means you have no strength. Accessible means people learned where to touch you. Someone gets cold, and you chase. Someone blames you, and you explain. Someone acts disappointed, and you collapse. Someone goes silent, and your nervous system starts doing their work for them. You call it caring, but sometimes it is not caring. It is fear wearing a gentle face. Jung understood something most people only learn after the same pain repeats enough times. What stays unconscious does not disappear. It directs you from underneath. You do not notice everything. You notice what your wound has trained you to keep scanning for. That is why the same pattern keeps returning. Different face, same pressure, different voice, same guilt, different relationship. Same version of you being pulled back into the old role. Once you see the pattern, it stops feeling like destiny. It becomes a door, and the colder question is not, what keeps finding me? It is, why does it keep working? At first you think the problem is outside you, the toxic person, the cold partner, the selfish friend, the family member who always seems to know exactly where your guilt lives. And yes, some people are manipulative. Some people know how to use pressure, silence, disappointment, fear. But Jung would ask the question your ego does not want to hear. Not, why did they do it? But, why did it work? Because manipulation does not survive on intention alone. It survives on access. And every pattern that keeps repeating has found a door. Sometimes that door is not weakness. It is fear. Fear of being disliked. Fear of being abandoned. Fear of disappointing someone. Fear of becoming the bad person in someone else's story. So do not watch this passively. Look at the pattern. Name the fear. Find the door. Because the moment you stop defending the opening, the pattern starts losing access. And that is the moment you begin taking your power back. What has been controlling you? Not who. What? Fear of rejection. Fear of being misunderstood. Fear of becoming difficult. Fear that if you stop giving, nobody stays. That fear is the hidden contract. And every time guilt works on you, the contract gets renewed. You did not say yes because you wanted to. You said yes because a part of you was terrified of what no might cost. You did not explain because they deserved more access. You explained because silence made you feel unsafe. This is where the pattern loses power, because once you see the contract, you stop mistaking fear for character. You stop calling self-betrayal kindness, and you begin to realize something colder. The people who control you through guilt are not stronger than you. They are only negotiating with a fear you have not revoked yet. Human behavior adapts to what you repeatedly allow. If you apologize just to end tension, people learn tension can bend you. If you explain every boundary, people learn your boundary is still open for negotiation. If you rescue the same chaos again and again, people learn their crisis can become your job. If you chase after being hurt, people learn hurting you has no consequence. You called it patience, but they learned there was no price. This is not self-blame. This is behavioral clarity, because if your old reactions trained access, your new reactions can remove it. Stop rewarding disrespect with deeper explanation. Stop giving emotional discounts to people who keep raising the cost of knowing them. Power is not control over others. Power is control over your availability. And the moment you stop reacting like the old version of you, the old pattern starts losing its oxygen. Emotional access is power. The person who knows you fear abandonment can control you with distance. The person who knows you need approval can control you with disappointment. The person who knows you need closure can control you with confusion. And the most dangerous part is this: they do not always need your love. Sometimes they only need the access that comes with it. Your attention, your explanation, your guilt, your need to prove you are not the bad person, your nervous system doing their work for them. But once you see the access point, you stop treating every emotional reaction as an instruction. You can feel the pull without handing them the rope. And then something dangerous happens. They try the old method, but the old you does not arrive. They reach for guilt and find a boundary. They reach for silence and find stillness. They reach for confusion and find clarity. They reach for your fear of being misunderstood and find someone who no longer needs unsafe people to understand them. This is where power begins. Power begins when they use the old method, and the old version of you does not arrive. The guilt still comes. The pressure still comes. The silence still comes. But for the first time, they do not get the same reaction, and that changes everything, because every pattern survives on predictability. It survives because it knows exactly which version of you will arrive. The apologetic one, the explaining one, the rescuing one, the self-abandoning one who keeps the peace by disappearing inside it. But the moment that version stops arriving, the pattern loses its map. So today, practice one intelligent act of resistance. Do not rush to explain. Do not rush to soften the truth. Do not rush to make your boundary comfortable for someone who benefited from you not having one. Pause. Let them meet the new version of you through your behavior. Quietly, clearly, without performance. Because you do not need to become cold. You only need to become unavailable to the pattern that once controlled you. Sometimes awakening looks small. Not dramatic, not loud, not cinematic. It looks like not replying immediately, letting someone be disappointed, feeling guilt and still not betraying yourself. It looks like saying less, because you finally realized overexplaining was feeding the system. It looks like not rescuing someone from the same crisis they keep choosing. This is not you becoming cruel. This is you becoming harder to use. Because real awakening is not what you understand. It is what you stop repeating. Self-respect is not a feeling. It is a behavior you practice when pressure appears. And when you practice it long enough, people begin to notice. And some people will call that cold. Let them. They are only describing the temperature of a door that finally closed. Some people do not miss you. They miss the access. The version who answered fast. The version who softened every boundary. The version who carried the emotional weight. The version who could be controlled by a change in tone. So when they say, "You have changed," listen carefully. Sometimes that is not an insult. Sometimes it is proof. Proof that the old map no longer works. Proof that guilt does not open the same door. Proof that silence does not pull you back as quickly. Proof that disappointment no longer decides your worth. They are not always mourning you. They may be mourning the version of you that made control easy. And when that version disappears, do not rush to explain it. Let your absence of reaction speak. Because losing access-based relationships is not always loss. Sometimes, it is the first evidence that the old contract is dying. Mental strength is feeling the pull, and still not handing them the rope. It is feeling guilt and checking whether guilt is telling the truth. It is feeling fear and refusing to betray yourself just to make someone else comfortable. The goal is not to become unreachable to love. The goal is to become unreachable to control. You do not close your heart. You close the doors that were never supposed to be public. And the first door to close is usually the fastest one. Your automatic reaction. Pause. Not to punish them, not to create distance for drama, but to return to yourself before fear answers for you. Ask one quiet question. Is this my truth? Or is this my fear trying to keep access? Because manipulation survives on speed. Guilt survives on urgency. Emotional pressure survives when you react before you remember who is actually making the decision. That is why so many people lose power without noticing. They never choose. They only react. So today, give yourself one sacred second. Before the reply, before the apology, before the long explanation, before you become responsible for a feeling that was never yours to carry. Breathe. Let the pressure pass through you without becoming your decision. Because the moment you stop reacting on their schedule, you start living on your own. That pause may look small from the outside, but inside, it is the moment the old pattern loses oxygen. Guilt loses its urgency. Fear loses its authority. And for the first time, you discover something most people never do. The feeling is still there, but it no longer owns you. Once you stop reacting the same way, reality gets cleaner. Not easier. Cleaner. Some people will respect the change. Some will resist it. Some will call you selfish. Some will say you are different. And some will expose exactly why they needed you reactive in the first place. Let the exposure happen. Do not panic when the room changes after you stop performing your old role. Confusing attachment keeps you trapped because it gives you just enough hope to avoid the truth. Clean pain gives you reality. And reality is where power returns. Because once you see who only stayed connected to your obedience, you stop calling every loss a failure. Sometimes losing them is not the wound. The wound was how long you kept losing yourself to keep them. This video did not find you because you were chosen. It found you because something inside you is no longer willing to pay the same price. Your attention is changing. Your tolerance is changing. Your inner standard is changing. What once felt normal now feels expensive. What once felt like love now feels like access. What once felt like guilt now looks like a hook. The pattern is losing its hiding place. You are starting to recognize the door people used to enter your mind. And once you see the door, you stop calling every knock an obligation. You stop opening it out of guilt. You stop opening it out of fear. You stop opening it just because someone is waiting outside. Quietly, the old system begins to fail, because it was built around a version of you that no longer exists. The version that rushed, the version that explained, the version that abandoned itself to keep the peace. And one day, someone will try the old method again. The guilt, the silence, the confusion, the pressure, and they will wait for the old reaction, but it will not come. Because the person they knew how to control no longer lives there.